You know that feeling, right? When you're under pressure and your mind just goes completely blank? Well, it's not just you. Today, we are going to dive into the simple neuroscience behind why stress can totally make us forget things.
I mean, we've all been there. You walk into a room with a purpose, and then, poof, nothing. The reason you went in there is just gone. Or maybe you're in a big exam, and a fact you know you studied for hours just disappears. So, what is actually going on inside our heads at that exact moment?
Well, the good news is it's not some kind of personal failure. It's just biology doing its thing. We're going to break down exactly what's happening inside your brain when all that pressure makes it feel like your memory has been wiped clean. Okay, so to really get why this happens, we need to meet the main character in this whole drama. It's a chemical, and think of it like your body's own personal built-in emergency responder.
Yep, that chemical is cortisol. Now, cortisol gets a really bad rap, but its main job is actually to help you survive. See, when your brain senses any kind of threat, it doesn't matter if it's a saber-toothed tiger back in the day or just a really tough question from your boss today, it releases cortisol. And that's what gets your body ready to either fight or, well, run for it. It's that classic fight or flight response. And this whole process is lightning fast. Seriously, it all kicks off the instant you perceive something stressful. Could be a looming deadline, could be a sudden loud noise. Your brain just hits the panic button, sounds this internal alarm, and bam, cortisol floods your system to get you ready for action.
Okay, so here's the big question. If cortisol is meant to help us, why on earth does it make us forget things? Well, it turns out that this whole emergency response can actually hijack the exact parts of our brain we need for thinking clearly and, remembering stuff.
So to make this super simple, let's think of your brain as having two really important managers. First, you've got the hippocampus. This guy is like a super organized librarian, carefully filing away all your new information and turning it into memories. Then you've got the prefrontal cortex. Think of this as the brain's CEO, the one in charge of focus, making big decisions, and all that high-level conscious thought. Now imagine what happens when that cortisol floods your system. It's basically like a blaring fire alarm going off right in the middle of the library and the CEO's office. The noise is just overwhelming, right? Suddenly, our poor librarian and our focused CEO, they just can't do their jobs. They are completely and totally distracted by the emergency. And that, right there, is the core of the problem. With that alarm blaring nonstop, the librarian can't file any new memories, and the CEO can't access the old ones. The information isn't actually gone from your brain, it's just that the system for getting to it has been temporarily shut down.
But hold on, because here's where things get a little more interesting. It turns out that not all stress is actually bad for your brain. So let's take a look at the difference between the kind of stress that helps you and the kind that really, really hurts you.
So, on the one hand, a little bit of short-term stress, like the pressure of a deadline coming up, that can actually release just enough cortisol to sharpen your focus. It can even boost your performance. But chronic, long-term stress, that's a whole different beast. It just keeps that cortisol alarm ringing constantly, day in and day out, which totally overwhelms the brain and pretty much blocks memory formation. And this chart here, the stress performance curve, it shows this whole idea perfectly. See, at really low stress levels, we're kind of bored, maybe a little unfocused. Then you hit this sweet spot in the middle. That's optimal stress. And that's where we're alert and performing at our absolute best. But if you push past that into high stress, well, your performance, including your memory, just falls right off a cliff.
So, knowing all this, what can we actually do about it? Is there any hope? Yes, the great news is we are definitely not helpless here. There are some really simple but powerful ways to protect our brains from all those negative effects of too much stress.
And science points to three really powerful strategies for managing this. First up, getting enough sleep. That one's huge. Second is regular exercise. And the third is just taking short, mindful breaks throughout your day to kind of reset your nervous system. So why do these three things work so well? It's pretty simple, actually. Each one of them directly helps to lower and manage your cortisol levels. They essentially give your brain's librarian and CEO that peace and quiet they desperately need to get back to doing their jobs, filing, organizing, and pulling up information when you need it. So here's the real key takeaway. The next time your mind just goes totally blank, try not to freak out. Just take a deep breath and remember, it's not you. It's just your brain's ancient survival chemistry kicking into gear. It has absolutely nothing to do with how smart you are.
So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. Based on everything we just talked about, what's one small, tiny change you could make this week? I'm talking maybe a 5-minute walk or going to bed just 15 minutes earlier to help your brain handle stress just a little bit